Welcome to Mindful Monday. This is to episode 9 on mindfulness of feelings. Welcome to this Mindful Monday session on the 5 hindrances. This is episode 8 of mindfulness of feeling. So we're going to look at exploring the hindrances, the 5 hindrances, and this is in relation to your practice, your meditation practice, but can also relate into life. Because what could be holding us back in the practice could be holding us back in life. So it's part of just to identify as mindfulness of feeling, because it's important to be aware of what these 5 hindrances actually feel like. So what the felt experience is, that's what we're going to go through. So we're going to go through what are the 5 hindrances, how they hold you back in your practice, and what are the antidotes to the 5 hindrances, and then do a short meditation practice on them to get present to them. So let's look at what they actually are. So they're negative states of mind that are impediments to the Buddhist practice or any practice. They're often mostly clearly seen as arises as an obstacle in meditation. So when they come up and you might be saying, I can't do this, I can't meditate, then it could be doubt in the practice that's coming up. So let's actually look what are the 5 hindrances that cause these roadblocks. It's when we get to this block and we don't really know how to get around them. So here are the 5. So the first one, sensual desire. So anything from the senses that's affecting our practice. Could be hearing something, could be sensitive to sounds, could be singing something, could be smelling something. It could be a thought of sensual desire. The second is ill will and aversion. So this is anger, frustration, pushing away. Third is sloth and torpor. So this kind of dullness of mind, laziness, and sleepiness. The fourth is restlessness. So restlessness in physical body and the mind. And then the fifth is doubt. We're not quite sure of the practice, maybe doubting the teacher. So if we look at each one just in detail, so we know exactly what it is. So the sensual desire, it means the appetites of the body for food, sex, possessions, experiences. It's all these wants, and they can cloud the mind. So it's a bit like putting a bit of dye that discolors a clear pool of water. So the clear water that truly reflects the observer's face represents the mind's at ease. But when there is the dye that comes in, it just spreads and dissipates, and then you cannot see clearly. Number 2 is the ill will aversion. So this is this aversive pushing away, rejecting states of mind, hostility, resentment, bitterness, anger. And it's a bit like the water boiling, bubbling and boiling. So again, when it's bubbling and boiling, you still can't see clearly, so that it's not calm. The third hindrance is sloth and torpor. So it's this dull, drowsy mind. You're a bit slow. So it could be referred to like a sloth, the animal. And the Buddha used as a kind of a bit of an overgrown moss or algae on a rock. Again, it's sort of holding you back. Fourth, restlessness. So it's many sort of feelings of today actually is common. This worry, this fear, this anxiety, a restless mind is disturbed and preoccupied and not ready to learn or grow. So it's a little bit where you've got a droplet and there's ripples going out and it's a bit of stir. So imagine a drop is a thought, and then that thought proliferates around. Again, you cannot see clearly. The fifth one, doubt. So your mind is crowded with questions and uncertainty. Am I doing the right thing? Am I wasting my time? Is meditation for me? Is it not? This is a bit like a murky, cloudy pool of water. So again, you cannot see. It's full of confusion, indecision. That's the feeling of doubt. So how do they hold you back? Let's look at that. So maybe take some time and think, go through each one of those 5 hindrances and see which one's coming up for you, and just determine sort of how they are holding you back. It may stopping you do the practice. It might be affecting your motivation to do the practice. It might be that you fall asleep during the practice, or you might be just thinking your mind is too distracted, constantly thinking of other things and not being focused on the meditation. Whatever it is, it's important to understand that this is part of the practice, because when we're doing the practice and we're noticing these hindrances, then we become aware of them. That's the first stage, is to recognize them. Okay, and then we can move on to a bit more of acceptance that they're there, and then investigation, and then letting them go. Let's get present to the actual felt experience of these hindrances through doing the meditation. So we're now going to get present to the felt experience of these hindrances through a meditation. So just getting comfortable. So getting into a meditative posture, either sitting on a chair or on the floor. And if you're sitting on a chair, just making sure that your feet are flat on the ground, your legs aren't crossed, and you're sitting upright. So your back is nice and upright. And then one hand is on top of the other and just resting in front of you. And then just half closing the eyes and just taking a nice deep inhale and exhaling. And on the next inhale, just scanning the body from head to toe. Now checking in with the mind, noting what's there. And then putting any worries or concerns aside while we do this meditation. Getting present to any feelings that are occurring right here, right now. Setting our intention to explore unworldly feelings. And just taking a moment to contemplate on the Buddha's quote, what you call happiness, I call suffering, and what I call happiness, you call suffering. So getting present to the definition of worldly feelings that have the underlying tendencies of desire, aversion, and ignorance. So it may be that we have a desire to buy a new car or clothes. And they're worldly pleasant feelings. And then the worldly unpleasant feelings to do with perhaps losing a job or a relationship breakup. Let's get present to those worldly feelings and how they make you feel. Do you experience the joy and happiness? And then experiencing perhaps the suffering when that happiness ends. Is it short term or long term? Does it just feed the next desire? Now getting pleasant feelings to mind and just being with those feelings, and perhaps you want them to continue. In your experience, they're very short term. It leaves you hanging on. In fact, sometimes the anticipation of that new car is more fulfilling than when you actually get it. Now getting present to unworldly feelings, as Buddha defines as those arising dependent upon the practices of renunciation. They're the feelings arising from practices such as sila, moral conduct, meditation, concentration, generosity, equanimity, and loving kindness.
So these pleasant, unworldly feelings are not swayed by desire. They have this inner peace, feeling of bliss. And then getting present to unworldly neutral feelings, which could be thinking of an issue that no longer evokes a response. It's not no positive or negative. Or perhaps the breath. Now getting present to unworldly, unpleasant feelings, which could be this feeling of detachment to the body, or a feeling of detachment to the mind. Getting present to this feeling of contentment, that happiness is here, right now. Putting a smile on your face. And getting present to those 7 factors of enlightenment. Perhaps increased energy, tranquility, calmness, concentration, having a focused mind that's still and not distracted. And then equanimity. Getting present to this balance of equanimity. Being able to see clearly and non-discriminately. Being able to send love to all beings, even those that have harmed us. Just being in the present moment, not swayed by the 8 worldly winds, just present to what's going on right here, right now. Getting present to that felt experience, that feeling, unworldly, boundless love and equanimity.
So what was your experience? What feelings came up? And really get present to the felt experience of those hindrances and how they hold you back. So there are antidotes to the 5 hindrances. So let's look at them. So sensual desire. So let's look at the first one, sensual desire. What you can do is recognize what you can and can't control. So you'll distinguish between the need and the want, because there might be a need, but a want is not really a need. So distinguish between that. You can practice generosity and kindness, and that helps you get out of your being this self-absorption. And you can practice letting go, because this will free up your energy, because sometimes when you're thinking that you want this thing all the time and it's occupying your mind until you have to get it, and it's just taking up a lot of energy. You can cultivate gratitude for what you actually have. So look at that, and you can just simplify your life and just free yourself from the delusion of the fact that when you want it and then you're going to be happy, because you know it's short term. You get the thing and then it doesn't last, that happiness. So that is a delusion to think that you're going to be happy sustainably once you get that thing, whatever it is. So the antidote for ill will and aversion is really shifting your focus of the anger to the suffering of the situation, of yours and others. Because when anger's present, it doesn't just hurt the other person, it's hurting you too. They say it's like holding a hot coal, so you get burnt as well. Notice the responses to pain. That anger or hurt means someone's lashing out, there's some suffering there. If it's yourself, just give yourself love, caress it like a baby, after you've recognized it, so you can just calm yourself down and give yourself self-compassion first before investigating it. One of the great meditations is love and kindness for anger, so that's a good antidote. Sloth and torpor. Okay, so if you're experiencing this a lot, then obviously your body needs sleep. So don't make it your enemy. Give your body what you need. Open your eyes, get up, notice it rising and falling, and just focus on the breath. It will give you the power. Restlessness, understand that it is an energetic imbalance. So you've got more energy or less energy. It's simplify the experience, come back to the senses, feel the breath, get present, make it your goal to harness it, not to dissipate it. Ground it, channel it more mindfully. The antidote to doubt is really about sustaining attention, but first thing is actually research into what you're doubting. So go and do your own research and find out what is happening and put a time frame on it. And say, right, I'm going to look into this and then I'm going to give it a go, and start to be your own scientist in this area. Test it out for yourself. So here's our framework for mindfulness. So you can apply this to all the hindrances as we go. So recognize it, acknowledge it, accept that it's there, investigate it, and non-identify. So let go. If you have any questions, please get in touch or attend one of the live classes on every Monday, 8 o'clock. It's an invitation to do the work. So just continue to get present to these 5 hindrances. And when you've calmed down, investigate one of the ones that are more dominant and watch a Dharma talk on the 5 hindrances. They'll give you some insights into how to overcome them and practice the antidotes for each hindrance. Hello.
Morning. How are you? You're recording this one.
Yeah, just recording